वाचारं दधानं विनम्रम् स्वयं ग्रन्थकारं सदा मानितारम् नमत्तापहारं स्वयं निर्विकारम् दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे सदा शान्तिमूर्तिं सदा क्षान्तिमूर्तिं सदा दान्तिमूर्तिं सदा सत्यमूर्तिं प्रमाणप्रवृत्तिं दिशान्तं सुकीर्तिं दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे दयानन्दरूपं मदाचार्यमीडे
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मस्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्तिः। Verse 47. य एषः स्वप्ने महीयमानश्चरति एष आत्मेति होवाच एतदमृतम् अभयम् एतद्ब्रह्मेति सः शान्तहृदयः प्रव्राज सः अप्राप्य एव देवान् एतद्भयं ददर्श तद्यद्यपि इदं शरीरम् अन्धं भवति अनन्दस्य भवति यदि श्रामम् अश्रामः नैव एषः अस्य दोषेण दुष्यते. Then further it says, Navadhena asya hanyate na asya sramyena sramaha grantitu eva enam vichhadayanti iva apyaveta iva bhavati api rodit iva nahamatra bhogyam pashyamiti. I know. Yeah, when we selected this that time, now we realize that we should have included more things, but anyway. So then Prajapati said, Yeshaha swapne mahiyamanascharati. First Prajapati said, Yeshaha akshini purushaha. This one, that is the Purusha, the conscious being, akshini, in the eyes. Although the teacher did not mean to say that literally, that the entity seen in the eye is Atma. What was intended is that the one who functions through the eyes. Elsewhere, the one was said to be the eye of the eye. Chakshusha chakshuhu, eye of the eye, meaning that because of whom the eyes function. See, Vedanta teaches that this body by itself is unconscious. It is made up of 5 elements: space, air, water, fire, earth. And these elements are achetanam, unconscious. Therefore, this gross body, which is also a product of these 5 elements, is also unconscious. And the sense organs of perception, sense organs of action are similarly also the product of those same 5 elements, of the subtle 5 elements. So theoretically they are also insentient. When the mind also is the product of the sattva aspect of 5 elements, so mind also is by itself insentient. By itself, the body is insentient. By itself, the sense organs are also insentient. By itself, the mind also is insentient. By itself, even the prana, the vital air which keeps this body active, alive, is also insentient. Because prana also is made of air. And still all of them function as though they are sentient or conscious entities. Generally we don't think, but that is what somebody thought. That even though the mind is unconscious by itself, because the mind is the product of the 5 elements which are unconscious by nature, so mind and similarly organs of perception, similarly organs of action, even prana, all of these inherently by the nature are unconscious. And therefore the question arose in the mind of this aspirant, Keneshitam patati preshitam manaha, by whose command by whose direction, in whose presence does the mind perform its activities of thinking, feeling, etc. Mind acts as though it is a conscious, sentient entity. So there must be something that makes it sentient. For example, a bus is insentient by itself, motionless by itself. When you find the bus is moving, then you can infer that there must be a conscious being such as a driver, because of which the bus moves. The cart is unconscious by itself. When cart is running, you know that there must be horses, a conscious being which pull. Thus, an unconscious entity is found to act as though it is conscious in presence of a conscious entity. That is how they say, in whose presence does the mind function? In whose presence do the eyes see? In whose presence do the ears hear? That all of these activities indicate that there may be someone other than them who is responsible for imparting them the sentiency, consciousness, dynamism. Therefore, Esha Akshini Purusha, this person in the eye, what is meant is that which enlivens the eyes, that because of which the eyes see, or you may say the one who sees through the eyes. Although the Atma cannot be said to be a seer in the primary sense, but who sees through the eyes? A conscious being sees through the eyes, and so Akshini Purusha, the conscious being in the eyes, by that was meant that the one that enlivens the eyes, because of which the eyes see, the conscious being or the consciousness. That was a couple of steps apart from the literal meaning. And it's understandable that although for Indra and Virochana to think that means that it is the conscious being in the eyes, and so that the teacher is talking about the chaya, the reflection is the Atma. That's what Indra thought. And Virochana thought the one that gets reflected is Atma, Deha. Fortunately, Indra was dissatisfied with this conclusion. He still did not know the nature of Atma, but was dissatisfied that this body cannot be Atma. The reflection cannot be Atma. Because when the body becomes blind, the reflection becomes mind, the body has cough and cold and running nose, this one also has it. When the body loses a limb, then this also loses a limb. When the body dies, this also dies. Then he doesn't know, he thinks. So Nasham Anveti, that when he just, this was his inference that then naturally when the body will die, this also will die. That cannot be Atma. Only that much sense he had, that Atma was immortal and that this body, Chaya cannot be Atma. And then Prajapati just said, Esha Swapne Mahimana Charati. Esha Atma, the one that is adored in dream. So sometimes in dream one takes the role of a king, etc., and other people adore you, worship you, respect you. So the one who is adored or who plays various roles in the dream. Esha Atma. So from the waker, Esha Akshini Purusha, what Prajapati meant was, the waker is the Atma. Now in this one, Esha Swapne Mahimanas Charati, one that is a dream, so the dreamer is Atma. In each case, what is intended is, the one who assumes the role of a waker is Atma. The second case, one who takes the role of a dreamer is Atma, because he keeps taking different, who is a waker now becomes dreamer. So waker also is a role, dreamer also is a role, sleeper also is a role. But Indra did not think that far. He just literally took whatever the teacher said, the dreamer is Atma. But then etadamrutam, abhayam, etad brahmayati, hey Indra, this Atma is immortal, it is abhayam. So abhayam, fearless means non-dual. Upanishad says, dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. Fear arises when there is someone other than myself. Dvitiyadvai bhayam bhavati. If there is no one else, there is no cause of fear. But Swamiji, I am alone. I get scared even when I am alone. How do you say that there is no fear when there is no one else? Why do I get scared when I am alone? I get scared by the imagination of someone. Someone may not be there, but I imagine. So one morning, every morning I used to wake up in the school at 4 o'clock in the morning to study when the exams come. And then so the bedroom was on the second floor, first floor. I was coming down and I just ran up, told my father there's a thief there, something is there. Father came, hey, this is just a cat running, come on. So when you are scared, you think that there is a thief there. And you are afraid of anything. So you can be afraid of the second thing, or you can be afraid of the imaginary second thing also. Anyway, but then abhayam, there is no second thing, therefore amrutam, abhayam, etad brahma. So immediately Shantara, Indra satisfies. He is satisfied, yes, I understand. The dreamer is Atma. Prabhupada, he walked away quite contented with his understanding. Aprapyeva devan, he returned, and before reaching his people, devatas, devaloka, edadbhyam dadarsha. Somehow he does not think in presence of Prajapati. Looks like. But when he is away by himself, maybe walking through the forest, because the influence of that atmosphere, maybe his mind becomes contemplative, starts thinking. Edadbhyam dadarsha. He saw this bhaya, meaning this defect he saw, this fault he saw. Tadyadapi idam sharim andam bhavati. He says, well, this one is not as bad as awake, the chaya. The chaya or reflection which he thought was Atma, he became blind when this body becomes blind and starts, running nose when this one is running nose, and loses a limb when this one loses a limb, and dies when this one dies. This is not so bad. Yadyapi idam shariram annam bhavati anandasya bhavati. Even though this body becomes blind, that fellow does not become blind. That much he could see, I guess. That the dreamer is different from the waker, and dreamer is unaffected by the waker. Apparently he must have understood that the dream body is different from the waking body. Therefore, when the waking body becomes blind, dreamer does not become blind, so his body is different. It is sramam asramaha. When this fellow is running those, why am I running those? But that's how somehow included here. So, what is the connection between blindness and asrama? But anyway, whatever, I have not thought about that connection. Vashyakar also is not commented, so we also don't think. He also just explained it, translated it. Naiva yeshasya doshena dushyati. Meaning that this one does not get tainted by the defects of the gross body. Then the passage that you do not have. Na vadena asya hanyate, some katora dao. Something that I should have which you don't have. Na vadena asya hanyate, this dreamer does not get killed by the death of this body. How did he come to know? I don't know. Because if this fellow is killed, how is there going to be a dream? I don't know. But anyway, this is a look for the Bhashyakar also don't ask questions that we are asking. See, this somewhere we have a specialty, Bhashyakar has simply explained, asya vadena saha anyate. But if this body dies, can there be a dream? No, that is a distraction, so let us not worry about that. Because unnecessarily the mind starts thinking and then we lose a track of what exactly we are supposed to be thinking. So I shouldn't show my intelligence in this kind of a thing. But Nasya sramyena sramaha, that when this one catches cold and has running nose, this one doesn't have. How does he know that? But anyway, that much he understands that this one is different from the other one, that's for sure. So he has the viveka, the discrimination that the dreamer is quite different from the viveka. But then dreamer, therefore that means that the dreamer is spared of many of the problems that the waking body has. So that's the advantage. That chaya, all the reflection did not have that advantage because the reflection also became blind when this fellow became blind, etc., etc. That doesn't happen to the dreamer. But then dreamer has his own independent problems. Granti tu evayenam. Granti means kill, but he's killed. The dreamer is attacked, is injured. So han means injuring also, so he is injured. Vichadayanti eva. As though, kill him, cut him off. Apreveta eva bhavati. One good thing about Indra is that he keeps on saying eva, eva, eva. As though he becomes listener or to the unpleasant or bitter talks. Abhi roditi eva. Sometimes the dreamer, the cries also, is weeping also. So what sort of Atma is that? So he understood and when you first told the dreamer is Atma, I said, I understand. He was satisfied with his understanding, walked away, and then the tube light happened on the way. And if this is so, then all these other consequences will be there. Aham atra bhogyam pashyamiti. If I know the dreamer as Atma, then you don't become immortal, you don't become fearless, you don't become Brahma by knowing Atma such as this. See the kind of things that Bhashyakara talks about. Says, Granti tu. Now, unfortunately you don't have that passage. But the passage says, Granti tu. Elsewhere says, Vichadayanti iva, as though some people injure him. Apriyaveta iva, as though he becomes as though the listener of unpleasant talk. Roditiyeva, as though he is crying, weeping. In case of Granti to Eva, he is definitely killed. So now Bhashyakara says the Eva must be converted to Eva, as though he is also attacked. He is killed. Why not he is actually killed? Why doesn't Indra think that dreamer is actually being killed? If the dreamer is being killed, then Atma is being killed. If Atma is being killed, then Atma becomes mortal. But then says, Et amrutam Abhayam, so Prajapati said is immortal. So that he definitely accepts. Therefore, no, the dreamer doesn't get killed as though gets killed. Nahatra bhogyam pashyami. I see no good coming out of knowing this dreamer as Atma. And so he returns to Prajapati with his difficulty and reports the same thing. So everything it is navadena anyate nasya samena samubhoti etc. etc. Rodhitiva atra bhogyam pashyami. He came to Prajapati, why did you come back? You went away quite satisfied with yourself, and what's the reason? What brings you back here? Then says, this is what I now deliberated and found that the dreamer cannot be Atma because all these doshas, defects are there. And if dreamer is Atma, is no good, then nahatra bhogyam pashyami. I don't see any benefit. Evameva esha magvan iti. Prajapati, you are right. This is exactly right. That knowing this dreamer as Atma, is no good, doesn't do any good. But see, the teacher says, Etam tvayate bhuya anuvyakyasyami. So do not worry, I will explain to you the same one again. So etantu eva. This means etantu, this one itself, that means the one that I explained to you is the person in the eyes. The one that I explained to you as the dreamer is the same one now I am going to talk about. Bhuyaha anuvyakhyāsyāmi. Again I will explain to you. That is, we can see here also the quality of the teacher. Both we can see the quality of the aspirant and quality of teacher. That he is committed to gaining knowledge. Although he is not the brightest person in the world. And he keeps on committing the same mistakes again and again. But he is not discouraged. Because he thinks and then realizes that what I understood is not right. He has not realized what the right understanding is. And that's the reason why he comes back to the teacher. That also is, he recognizes that what I understood is not right. So comes back to the teacher and reports verbatim. No glossing over. As Swami would say, no glossing over at all. Say verbatim he reports exactly what he thought. And Prajapati asks every time also, what brings you back? Knows. And still, he warned the student to in fact describe his own difficulty, even though the teacher knows, and still, let the student describe his thinking. And so he does. The teacher says, Eto evate bhuyaha anuvyakhyāsyāmi. I will anuvyakhyāsyāmi. Vyakhyāsyāmi, I will explain in detail. Anuvyakhyāsyāmi. So, say again, explain, and the same one I will again explain to you. So this is how then in Indra's mind, this thought will be there, that same thing is being explained. Otherwise, every time some new entity is explained or what. And therefore, Prajapati makes this, bhumika background that etam tu evate bhuya again I will explain the same thing to you. I will again explain. Vasa prani dvatrimshadam varshani iti. But teacher has no hesitation in telling him, live now for 32 more years. apparently you did not quite understand what my teaching was. That means there is something in there which has prevented you from understanding my words or my teaching. Therefore, in order for the purification to take place, please dwell here for 32 more years. 32 is an interesting number, but anyway, that's what they came up with, 32 years. And look at him, so obedient. Sahaparani, and that shows also his commitment. No, I'm fed up now, come on. Don't tell 32 years. No, I don't want this knowledge. Somebody can easily say that, well, who is going to bother about what, but no. He also very obedient and very sincere in pursuit of knowledge, that's important. He was not discouraged. And therefore his commitment to the pursuit of knowledge remained intact in spite of all what is happening. Someone can get disappointed, sir, it's not for me. I can't understand that, let me go back. Or if you want me to say 32 years, I can't do that. Please reduce it to 16 years, 8 years, some years. All of this also Bhashyakara says that this is anecdote, this is the Vyakhyanam or this is the Katha. So this story or anecdote also is meant to convey to us what it takes to gain the knowledge and what it takes also to impart the knowledge. Because Prajapati also has equal patience. And patience can be there when you have compassion. He has compassion for the student. And even though by his standard the student is not bright enough, is still not bright enough, still not bright enough, still not bright enough. But neither the student gives up on him, nor the teacher gives up on the student. That is something. That is what they are also conveying to us. Our Pujya Swami used to say that the teacher trusts the student. So he looks upon the student as adhikari. Even though adhikari means fit student. So even though he may not be fit right now, he has definitely the potential of being an adhikari. Thus Prajapati looks upon Indra as a potential adhikari. Yes, he has not understood what I say. He is not adhikari right now, and so instructs him. Vasa dratrimshatam varshani te. May you please live here for 32 years. Indra, the king of devatas, who lived in all luxuries. I don't think that he even had to. Perhaps he did not drink water himself. Somebody did it for him. He has opened his mouth. You don't know what kind of luxuries he enjoyed. And here he is doing that to his teacher. I guess he must be sweeping floors. Must be doing that, isn't it? Cleaning the floors. Brahmacharya means service to the teacher. I'm sure that in those ashrams, in those places, the Gaushala must be there, so cows must be there. Yeah, one of the duties of these disciples was to take the cows out for grazing and bring them back and clean the cows, clean everything after the cows. Generally cows don't like to be bathed, so you don't have to bathe the cows usually, they say. A buffalo likes to bathe and so you must clean, but the cow is all right. But we bathe because of our cow. Cow by itself doesn't have tendency to get bathed. Anyway, that's by the way. But then, so all of these, you imagine, you must be doing. Prajapati was a big person, otherwise you have to cook for your teacher also. So Bada Swami to describe, suppose you are in Himalayas, and then you are the teacher, then you have to fetch water. You say the ashram is the bank of Himalayas. It's not bank of the Himalayas. Bank of the Ganges. Ganges is there and this is some, 1 kilometer up there. And so take a bucket, go down, go up, go down, go up, very cold water, so you must warm it up for your teacher. You must wake up before he wakes up. Keep the water, warm water ready, this ready, that ready. So, living in Ahmedabad and Mumbai, etc., looks like a tough life, So for Indra, you can imagine, how much tough it must have been. But so versa doesn't mean that just dwell here, eat, drink and make merry. It means that you live the life of service, to the teacher. Brahmacharya, meaning serving the teacher. Saha aparani dvatrimshatam varshani vasa. Very obediently he lived there for 32 more years. Tasmai hovacha. Then the teacher told him, recognizing that now all his obstacles, impurities must have gone by the tapasa kalmasham hanti. Tapas is meant for elimination of kalmash or impurities. So then, next passage says, passage 48, Tadyatra etata suptaha samastaha samprasannaha swapnam na vijanati esha atmeti hovacha etadamrutam abhayam etad brahmeti saha shantarudaya prabhavraja saha aprapya eva devan etad bhayam dadarsha na aha khalu ayamevam samprati atmanam janati ayamahamasmiti no eva imani bhutani vinasham eva pito bhavati nahamatra bhogyam pashyamiti. Tadyatra etas suptaha samastaha samprasannaha swapnam na vijanati. Tatra yatra yasmin kale etat, this person swapnam and jiva supto bhavati. So when the dreamer then, so first the waking, then the dream, and then the sleep. And so Esha, when this dreamer then sleeps, then the sleep also is here qualified samastaha samprasannaha, because swap can mean to dream as well as to sleep. So swapa can be twofold. Dreaming also can be called swapa, or deep sleep also is called swapa. Sanskrit doesn't have another word for that. That's interesting, isn't it? But anyway, swapasya dviprakaratvat, because sleeping is of two kinds, therefore etad visheshanam samastha samprasannaha. To distinguish the deep sleeper from the dreamer, the deep sleeper is described as samprasanna samastaha, samastaha, complete one. Uvasamvrata sarakarana vritti ityetata, meaning that when the dreamer also folds up all his activities. So already half asleep he is, that means that the dreamer is no more functioning through the organs of perception or organs of action. So these organs of perception, action, they are all folded up, then only dream is possible. Even the mind also is not totally functioning there. They say the mind is functioning, But mind does not totally function. One part of the mind functions. Which part? The projecting part of the mind functions. The buddhi doesn't function there in the dream, meaning that it doesn't have that kind of discrimination. The only thing that it does is project. So the projecting faculty of the mind is what functions in the dream. That is, what we have to say. Although the whole mind doesn't function. There's no memory in the dream. There's no buddhi or determination in the dream. There's no knowledge in the dream. All there is the memory and the projection. Projection based on the vasanas. Upasamrita sarakarana vritti. But that also is folded up. So whatever activity was in the dream, when the mind, part of the mind was functioning and projecting in the dream world, that also is now withdrawn, folded up. Ataha bahya vishaya sampargadanida kalusya bhavat. So what happens is, the sense organs are our instruments for contacting the outside world. The organs of perception is that with which we contact the outside objects. Organs of action are those with which we respond. The organs of perception and action are those with which we interact with the outside world. When you interact, there is that means kalushya. So, bahya vishaya samparaga janita kalushya. Whenever there is contact with the outside world, there is going to be some problem. Kalushya. Meaning that some difficulty will be there, some reaction is likely to be there. Some raga will be there, dvesha will be there. That is what the world does. That it pushes our buttons, and that's how the raga dveshas, which are potentially there, they become manifest. That's called kalusya. Because otherwise we seem to be very tranquil, very quiet by ourselves. Moment some telephone comes and that fellow says something and then I get excited, then that's how the raga dveshas which are there, they get invoked. So Bhashyakara says that as long as this fellow was in contact with the external world so long, his kalusya impurities were also functioning, and therefore he was experiencing pain, pleasure and pain, experiencing dukkha. In deep sleep state, all that is now gone, meaning that he has withdrawn his organs of perception, withdrawn organs of action, and therefore there is no contact whatever with the external world. Therefore, there is nobody to push your button. Therefore, you are tranquil. Samyak prasanna samprasanno bhavati. Therefore, mind attains its natural state of happiness. So, prasannata, cheerfulness is the nature of the mind. But in the waking state, when we are in contact or interacting with the world, they keep on pushing the buttons. Swami, this person makes me angry. She does not stop until I get angry, she or he, whatever, So, this is the usual thing you find. It is the nature of the world to push buttons. Or it is our nature that we get pushed, whatever it is. But then, usually, whenever the interaction of the world, something or the other happens, raga or dvesha, some of them are invoked, that kalusya, that impurity is not there in deep sleep state when you withdraw all your faculties into yourself. And therefore, you are in your own essential nature, which is prasannata, which is cheerfulness. Therefore, this fellow, not being bothered by the whole world now, he is cheerful by his own nature. So that is the reason why in the waking also we can become cheerful by withdrawing our faculties. So we can consciously do that. By God's grace and deep sleep state, it happens by Ishvara's grace. And that's the saving grace, that every day we get to have some rest, real rest. Because I think in waking state it's generally not possible. In waking state we will study Vedanta and we have to grow in our maturity and we have to learn how to interact without reacting, how not to react to the buttons that are pushed. So that way, of course, the waking world gives us good training if you want to be trained. So either it can hurt us or it can train us. Either, so like a sculptor who takes the rock and shapes it. So up to the rock to get shaped so that its beauty comes out, or if the rock does not cooperate. Thank God that the rock is rock. But suppose you and I were there, the live rock, that's what God wants to do to us. Ishvara is like a shilpi or a sculptor and wants to form us. And he wants to make us beautiful. So remove all sorts of outer veils are there, outer coverings are there to bring out our inner beauty. That's why he has created the world. That's why he has given us the required faculties. That's why he has life and interaction. Not to break us, not to hurt us, but then really to form us, help us evolve. It's a different matter that we don't cooperate with the sculpture, and when he does something, I turn my face away, then I get broken. No, that is what happens to our life. But otherwise, basically, life is meant, for us to grow. But so all this business is not in deep sleep state. There were suprasanna bhavati. He is quite happy, cheerful by himself. Ataheva swapnam na vijanati na anubhavati vishayakara avasam manasam swapna pratyam na vijanati. All these world of dream that he had created now he does not experience. Isn't that funny? That in a dream we create our own world. Nobody has asked me to do, I myself create that, and still I suffer the same problems as in waking. Why is it so? Dream is created by me. I create the dream world. It's my fancy that I create the dream world. Then still why do I suffer in the dream? No, Swami, I don't suffer in the dream. Maybe you must be lucky. But most people do. So when we all create the dream, why should we suffer? Why should we be unhappy? If you create the dream, then it's my creation. Enjoy it. Just as you create something, make a nice painting, nice sculpture, whatever you do, then enjoy it. So also a dream is our own creation. Why don't we enjoy it? I don't know that it is my creation, So I think it is creation, like the same samskara as waking, therefore the dream world also, I take it to be separate from myself, different from me, and react in the same way as I do in the waking state. But thank God, in deep sleep state, even that is also not there. Therefore, manasam swapna pratyam na vijanati. So there is a great relief and a great saving grace that there is a state called the deep sleep state where even the dream also is not there. But dream also is not always a pleasant experience. Same problems we inherit from the waking. Then what the Vedanta explains, when does dream take place? When does sleep take place? Asu sauratesu nadishu sada suptaha pravishtaha. So they explain that during the waking state, the Jivatma functions at the periphery of our body, meaning in the sense organs. So the Jivatma is present in the organs of perception, like eyes, ears, etc., organs of action, the mind, and that is how the Jivatma functions through this during the waking state. Then what happened? Dream state? Slowly the Jivatma withdraws himself from the organs of perception, from the organs of action, And there in the dream state, there is no activity through the organs of action, no activity through organs of perception. And he goes into a thing called this very fine nerves called Hita Nadya, so Hita Nadi, and this is where he creates the dream world. Very fine nerves are there. And then finally he goes to the heart. So when he sleeps, he goes to heart. When he dreams, he is somewhere in the intermediate range. When he is sleeping, he is in the heart. When he is awake, he is out in the outer range in sense organs of perception and action. He is dreaming, he is half withdrawn into some some range region here and near the throat, etc. And when he sleeps, he withdraws himself completely into the heart. So, na kanchana kamam kamayate, na kanchana swapnam pashyati, yatra na kanchana kamam kamayate, na kanchana swapnam pashyati, tat sushuptam. So ChandogyaUpanishad, it comes from Upanishad earlier, that yatra na kanchana kamam kamayate, that state in which he doesn't desire anything, na kanchana swapnam pashyati, where he does not dream anything, tat sushuptam, that is called sushuptam. So this is the, that is what, etat susupta, suptaha, samastaha, sampasannaha, swapnam na vijanati. Esha atma iti hovacha. Hey Indra, that is atma. Etat amritam, abhayam, etat brahma, that is immortal, that is fearless, that is Brahma, that is limitless. He went away, Shantarudaya, he thought he understood. Prabhavraja, but aprapya eva devan, before reaching Devaloka, etat bhem dadarsha, nas khaluayam eva sampradyatmanam janati, but this fellow does not know anything. This deep sleeper, that is Atma, which he thought to be Atma, says he does not know anything. He does not know anything outside of himself. He does not know himself also. So, na aha khalu ayam evam samprati atmanam janati ayam asmiti. Ayam asmi. In deep sleep, he doesn't know that I am so and so. No imani bhutani. He doesn't know anything around himself. He doesn't know the world. Vinashameva apito bhavati. He as though becomes destroyed. In deep sleep, he is not there. So this is what Indra thinks about the deep sleep state. That now he, first of all, when he heard that the sleeper is Atma, he thought he understood and he walked away quietly. And then on the way he started thinking that, but then this Atma doesn't know anything. This Atma, what I call Atma, the sleeper, he does not know himself, does not know anything other than himself. He is not there. Vinasham apito bhavati, as though he is, doesn't say that he is dead, but as good as dead. Because when are you alive? When you are conscious. He is not conscious at all. He is as good as dead. Namatra bhogyam pashyami. What's the use of knowing this fellow as Atma? And therefore, he cannot be Atma. I see no good coming out of knowing this deep sleeper as Atma. Then comes back. So waking, dream, deep sleep. So waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. One by one, this Viveka is going on here in its own way, in a very different way. Elsewhere may be described more systematically, like in Viveka Chudamani, etc., Tattva-bodha. Here described in a story form, and something which is very live, what a person would actually think, in that way it is described. So we'll continue the story next time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। श्रीगुरुभ्यो